I'm 5 minutes late because I forgot to hit the go live button. I thought I was live. I just forgot to hit go live on Rumble to go live on all the platforms, and I was wondering why I wasn't live on any of the platforms. It was my birthday over the weekend. I forgot it was my birthday. I had a bunch of stuff planned that I was gonna do for the channel, but then it was my birthday, so you know what? I took a break. I'm probably not gonna take another break until New Year. I'll be working every single day, even on Christmas, because I got nothing better to do on Christmas. I ain't got no family. I do have family. They're gonna be here though, and not all day, probably. Just gonna be me here most of the day. We'll be here in the morning doing stuff. And probably go to my grandma's for like an hour, but she's gonna be busy. I'm setting stuff up, getting the chats ready. Whoa. What's with my similarity? It's all messed up. I'm ghosty. Oh, broke the immersion. See, this screen doesn't show that I'm invisible. My window covers are coming through, is why. Give me just a second. Okay, well, I think it works. I think it's gonna work. I've got a PayPal down in the description. You just click that link and you can donate to me. Or you can just copy it and donate to me with it. Or you can send a super thanks or a super chat or a Rumble rant if you're watching live. Just donate to me. I've got to get things done and I need money for it. And I'm very poor. I am impoverished. Okay, that's enough e-begging. I have a link tree down there if you want to join this channel. You can become a member, or you can join the Discord. I've got other social media also, if you want to follow me on X. X is a very fun place. That's the other place that I usually am, besides Rumble and YouTube. I'm also on Twitch, Kick. I know this is a long, a lot of stuff in an ad. I'm just letting you know now. You don't have to do any of this stuff. I'm just letting you know now. I have all of that. I need to add some logos down here, down in these. Because I've added some more stuff. Because I'm on Twitch now. And I think Rumble shows up right here on most things. Which is about to change. It's about to go down here with the rest of them. Alright, let's kill the music. And start the show. Hopefully. Hopefully the green screen works. Yeah, it looks like it's having some issues a little bit. Let me fix that real quick. Just real quick. No, did it sort itself out? It's not there anymore. Oh no, it's still there. I wonder why. Is it because I need more light in here? Here, let's just do this. This fix it. Kapow. That fixed it. I don't need that open. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That'll do her. So how's it going? Welcome to the show. Everything's been a disaster. An absolute disaster. I added a new screen to my setup, big TV right here. I'm using as my fourth monitor to house the chat and the stream. And man, it messed up so many things. I had to change some settings, and I forgot what some of the settings were that I changed. Messed up my green screen. I had to rearrange my entire office room right here. Rough. It was rough, man. Okay. Well, anyway, first video on the agenda. The dark side of Counter-Strike 2 from CoffeeZilla. I think it's a continuation from that last video I did on him that he did, where he got himself mixed up in this like weird casino feud war where people's lives are now in danger, which I don't think they really are. I think just a couple of rich pussies fighting over each other's money. Okay. I think I'm good. I think everything's set up now.
Made millions and millions of euros. I'm going to be delivering justice to these
I get told that they had posted
It's a continuation from the last video, so this is part 2.
flyers everywhere in my city, and I mean everywhere. High schools, malls.
They need to go in, even if there's a security guard, even if they're gonna be taken away. If somebody goes home walking, they will be fired.
They sent 18 people outside my door having a quote-unquote protest.
We are having war with other sites as well. Most of the CSGO gambling sites are scams.
I want to know who's really behind this thing, who's really the victims, and who's really the villain.
In our last video, we got bribed, but instead of taking it, we exposed the people who offered it. Now it's time to expose the rest of the Counter-Strike gambling industry and the influencers who promote it for millions a year. Let's start with the basics of what Counter-Strike gambling really is, though. Counter-Strike is a first-person shooter video game where you can buy cosmetic options for your guns called skins.
You can?
You can get these by paying $2.50 to open a loot box. It spins
That's not
like
much
a slot
money.
machine, and you get a random skin. There's an
That's just the price of a McDouble. That's cheaper than a McDouble.
entire economy that's grown out of their rarity. And you can sell these skins for pennies or up to tens of thousands of dollars depending on their rarity. You can then take those skins to Counter-Strike casinos where they will be accepted as currency instead of cash. They use their real-world value to turn this video game into...
That honestly, that sounds like a scam. It really does. That's why I never get into gambling or anything like that. Because it's usually when you involve video games and that much money, it's a scam.
to Vegas. You can play slots, roulette, and more, all with a video game skin. Think of it like their version of poker chips. And when I first began to investigate this, I thought, why don't people just use a regular casino? You know, why use Counter-Strike skins for this? Well, I decided to investigate by interviewing a bunch of people who do use Counter-Strike casinos, and I found a disturbing trend.
I've been in the gambling community in Counter-Strike for about, I'd say since 12 years old.
I started gambling on Counter-Strike when I was probably 13 years old.
13 years old.
14 years old.
I think I was 14.
Started gambling on CSGO at the age of 12 and 13, pretty much right around there, my 13th birthday.
Yeah, most of the people I spoke to started gambling underage, and it was while they were playing the game. And this trend continues beyond the anecdotal.
Where are the kids' parents for one? Like, first off, you're letting your kids play an M-rated game and you're letting them just be online on a computer or on their phones and they're gambling. Like, how? How do you not know? Like, seriously. How do you not know as a parent?
YouTuber named Jeff surveyed over 9,000 players, and he found that around 70% of Counter-Strike gamblers start underage. Now, themed casinos have always had an audience, but with Counter-Strike, there is an underage gateway to all of this because all you need is $2.50 to get your first skin through Valve, and you don't even need to show ID, which is a huge part of this. Even worse, when you go from the game to the casinos, which are hosted on third-party websites, most don't ID the players either. Or if they do, it's only after you've already gambled thousands of dollars, which is a bit like if a liquor store asked for ID after you drank 10 bottles of liquor. It's obviously absurd, but it's also very profitable because underage gamblers not only are new customers, they're way more likely to become gambling addicts, which is how casinos make most of their money. These days, most physical casinos have a strict ID policy at the door. This isn't because they're good people, it's because they're heavily regulated and would lose their gambling license if they knowingly allowed underage players. But Counter-Strike gambling is fundamentally different. Regulation for these casinos is almost non-existent because they're offshore in Malta, Curacao, Cyprus, and most of them are using loopholes to pretend that this isn't even gambling at all. Look, I'm not going to go into too much detail here because different casinos use different loopholes, but suffice to say, this has been going on a long time. Back in 2016, a very similar story broke in a big way about scam casinos and underage.
Team Martin. I said Trainwrecks. I don't know who Trainwrecks is. Team Martin. So if you've seen part 1, I mentioned that I thought Trainwrecks, which I think Trainwrecks was involved with some gambling. But Team Martin was the one that was doing the, like, Counter-Strike website and pushing it on children.
Gambling problems in Counter-Strike, and everyone was understandably enraged. Valve even got involved, had to send out cease and desist letters. Even the FTC went after influencers, but when the dust settled, there weren't that many consequences. Part of the reason was because of these loopholes. In fact, the most infamous casino, CSGO Lotto, claimed not even to be a casino at all. They said they were a sweepstakes. Now, this is obviously absurd. It's not true, but none of that matters because it got them out of trouble. And so the same types of casinos have continued, just with new owners and new names. What you're left with then is an industry that is unregulated, if anything, self-regulated, which I discovered creates its own race to the bottom problem, because consumer protection in an unregulated market will literally drive away your customers. For example, remember Monarch from the last video and his casino CSGO Empire? One of the things they do that I actually think is good is they block certain IPs where gambling is illegal, and they admit that what they're doing is gambling. Now, you can easily get around these geo restrictions with a VPN, but it's sort of an extra hurdle. Most Counter-Strike casinos don't even do this. And listen to one gambler explain why this tiny decision to just geo-block one region, the US, affected who he chose to gamble with.
So when I went onto Empire, while it's still easy to bypass it, you can just put a VPN, just takes an extra 5 minutes. CSGO Roll, I can just, once again, type it into my browser. Deposits.
Oh, you're an American.
Yes, correct, yes.
So no VPN restriction, no geo-blocking.
Yes, correct. So on Roll, 0 VPN blocking, 0 any bypassing. On Empire, there is blocking, but it truthfully is very easy to bypass.
Right. That makes sense. Most people end up going with the casino who asks them less questions, requires less from you. Even if you're not illegally trying to gamble, you just don't want to have to put in personal information, anything like that. This all taught me that in the world of unregulated gambling, it's more complicated than just saying, okay, casinos want toddlers gambling. It's also market dynamics, right? You get a competitive edge by not regulating. Less work, more customers, more money, which means you can't just solve the problem by wagging your finger at bad casinos. The entire system is broken.
You gotta shut them down. You gotta get them to, you gotta somehow shut them down. You gotta get them to stop operating. No casinos. Casinos bad. Don't gamble, ladies and gentlemen. You degenerate gamblers.
As long as these loopholes exist, why would anyone change? In fact, some websites like Clash.gg even advertise their lack of regulation as a feature, not a bug. The CEO even bragged on Twitter, quote, Clash just paid out its biggest one-time cash out.
Hang on, I gotta make my dog get out. She wasn't listening. She kept getting into stuff over there and getting into my trash can and stuff. She knows better. As a bad dog.
Instantly with no verification. Couldn't be more happy with the product and reputation we are building. This guy sees it as a badge of honor to do no checks. And it is a positive reputation if you want to appeal to underage players, money launderers, or just people who want to avoid a hassle, a VPN, and putting in an ID, and this is all a huge problem. But how big of a problem is it, you might wonder? After all, we're talking about video game skins. How much money could this industry really be worth? I wondered the same thing, so I asked.
Blizzard makes like billions of dollars. Gajillions of dollars. It's crazy. No, I could imagine casinos, online casinos, based around video games, popular video games, are going to make ridiculous amounts of money. Maybe even more than that. Let's see.
Asked around for how much these casinos are making and got several estimates. One owner claims he has an 8-figure business, and someone who worked for his partner claims that is true. How much does he make on Clash?
His partner, Boris, right, also known as Dogs Playing Poker, Friendly Chemist, he told me directly that it was making about $50 million a month.
That's a lot of money, and this roughly matches what the popular gambling Counter-Strike YouTuber told me.
That's a little over $500 million a year. That's so much money, an unfathomable amount of money, an unusable amount of money. Like, what are you gonna spend with that? Like, I can see how people can just start buying yachts and shit.
As well, saying he'd estimate these sites are making tens of millions monthly. And there are so many of these sites that the YouTuber Jeff estimated it all in a different way, looking at the total amount of website traffic compared to a popular online casino.
So when you bring them together, those CSGO websites bring almost double the traffic of the biggest online casino today. And this online casino declared a gross revenue of 2.6 billion in 2022. Now, that doesn't mean the CSGO websites are grossing more, but it's a great element to put things in perspective.
So even though it's tough getting an exact number since these casinos might overestimate or underestimate for many reasons, either way, it's clear these businesses are making huge amounts of money. And there's many of these casinos. We've just focused on a few in our videos, but there's so many more of these websites, each potentially making millions a month. And no one's gonna change their behavior until they're incentivized to by regulation across the board. Until then, less regulation will always mean a wider customer base, even if some of those customers are underage. The irony here being, the biggest voice of change so far really has been Monarch. From the last video, you guys know I am no fan of this guy's methods, but I'll be honest, there's large parts of his public arguments that are hard to argue with. He claims to understand the underage problem because that's how he started as well.
How I got into gambling myself was when I was 13 and I was playing RuneScape, and how the duel arena was like a gateway drug for me. That's how gambling started for me, and that's where it went into third-party sites. I'm just disgusted about this whole loop. I think that the whole case system on Steam is pretty horrible. The way how there's no cable.
I mean, I agree with you there, but the way you went about it was just actually insane, and he even admitted it.
I see. It's such a powerful tool for getting children and even adults. I think even adults they have a gambling problem. It's not only like it's not a age exclusive thing. It's just a machine that makes people gamble. Imagine there's a kid who just plays CSGO and they open one box. Pretty innocent. They get their mom's credit card, they spend €2 to open a box. Okay, then they open a second box, third box, fourth box, and so on. And soon they see their favorite influencer playing on some third-party case opening site. And this is where it's like switching from weed straight to, I don't know, amphetamine or something. And they just go deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole, and soon they are addicted. And the next thing you know, when they want to stop gambling, it's easy to just close these websites. But what happens when you go on social media? You go on YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, any platform. What do you get? You get gambling ads everywhere. The algorithm starts feeding.
Well, honestly, there are ways to get around that. You can stop the gambling ads. I don't see any gambling ads. As a matter of fact, I don't see any ads whatsoever unless they're like in a video that I'm watching. And I don't watch people who have gambling ads in their videos. Usually.
You. It's like, imagine you are addicted to heroin, and then everywhere you go, you just see like heroin, heroin, heroin. Here, look, your hero is taking heroin.
So, we have to separate these two things out. Yes, this guy's methods are terrible, but I'll admit, it's nice to see a casino owner talking honestly about their industry and admitting that what it is gambling, and not some kind of sweepstakes. But even if Monarch says he wants to change, without the actual power of a regulator, he just ends up having to harass people, threaten people, which isn't going to get him anywhere. Not only that, he's no saint either. His own website doesn't ID people right away. According to CSGO's Empire's terms, they only require you to verify your age if you want to withdraw more than 2,000 coins in crypto or deposit substantial amounts of money. If you withdraw via skins, there is no limit. So even the guy who claims he started underage gambling, he understands the gateway drug that skin betting websites act as, even he refuses to fully ID customers because he knows he'd go out of business.
I'm really committed to, I want to make it.
Then why are you in business? I don't get these people. Like, if I had the opportunity to run a gambling business, I would just stay poor. That's actually disgusting and evil. Like, are you kidding me?
Stricter. Like,
that's no excuse.
You can't jump to the deep end just like immediately on one day. That would make us go out of business. But really, my end goal is I want to do full-blown KYC before anybody deposits. I want to make it as clean as possible.
This, more than anything, shows the limit to the let's self-regulate idea, right? Even the biggest critic of underage gambling can't bring himself to actually ID his customers up front because his competitors won't do it, and he says it would ruin his business. So maybe the solution isn't with the casinos at all. Maybe it's a good time to talk about the influencers who promote it instead. Because when I learned and asked about people who got into this type of gambling,
I get all the time, I see people who talk about how they get demonetized or they get banned for talking about weed and talking about smoking and things like this. Smoking cigars, even. But they're still gambling on those websites. Like Instagram, Facebook, you know? Get demonetized, get banned. Get shadow banned a lot of times, and they don't even tell you. And straight up, they just have gambling everywhere. Like it's not a drug, too. Like it's not regulated by the government. Similar to drugs, because gambling has to be regulated because it's evil.
I wondered, how did they get into it in the first place? Who did they hear about it from? And one thing kept popping up.
You're not exactly evil if you gamble. I'm saying gambling itself is evil, and like the places that allow you to gamble aren't there because they're your friends.
One of the primary ways I actually learned was through YouTube. It popped up in my recommended page because I was a big fan of Counter-Strike. I'd play it, you know, in my free time. Some gambling videos popped up and I thought, hey, you know.
Streamers kind of exposed me to that space first.
I saw it online. I saw a bunch of these YouTubers playing it.
Found out CSGO gambling just pretty much through watching people on Twitch and YouTube. Juicy was one of them. I actually remember very vividly. He was this guy that would do all these case openings on different websites and such. He was very much affiliated with them. He had codes and all of these things.
I've been surrounded by like Syndicate and like FaZe Clan, for example.
I watched my favorite YouTubers.
Right. YouTubers and streamers, of course, are going to be one of the main advertising vectors. It's been that way since 2016. Influencers are the main lifeblood of these casinos. Fast forward 8 years later, it's just different influencers, different casinos making the money than before. But unlike casinos, who we know intuitively are blood-sucking leeches on society, influencers, by contrast, well, we expect more from them. We don't get it, but we expect more. So I wanted to confront 3 different influencers who do this gambling streaming stuff of different sizes and get their opinions on why they promote this stuff and how they can possibly justify it.
I don't think people should gamble, honestly, on the sites. They shouldn't gamble at all. But I enjoy doing it, so it's what I do.
Are you shitting me? Like, okay, this guy is actually evil. He knows it's wrong, but he's still gonna show it to his audience because he thinks it's fun and he likes doing it. Actually evil. Because he knows how bad it is. And he even admits it. If you don't think it's bad and you're doing it, still like maybe 5% evil, but this guy is like 100%.
If that makes any sense, I don't know.
No. That part of it makes sense. That the part where you want to do it so you continue to do it, that makes sense. But let's say I'm like, I don't think smoking's good for you, but I like smoking. It makes sense that I would smoke. It doesn't make sense that I would go promote it to get people to smoke.
I definitely understand.
That is not the same thing, because I think you could promote people to smoke. I think that's completely fine. I think you can like advertise smoking, but you're not gonna spend your life savings on cigars and weed. You're gonna spend your life savings on gambling, 100%.
That perspective too, and it's a very good argument, and it's like you can't really argue against it, right? It's not a good thing, but it's something that I still enjoy doing, and so I'm going to continue to do it.
Is it just too much money? That's an acceptable answer. It's just too much money to turn down.
I'd say in the beginning it probably was too much money. At this point, it's not about the money for me. It's just I really enjoy doing it.
Well, in the videos, I don't sugarcoat. I don't try to convince people that winning or gambling is a way or a solid option to flip a quick buck. Even in my wins, I preface that this is not a sustainable thing. So it's not something that I necessarily. I don't know. You can watch the videos and decide for yourself if it feels like promotion, but that's how I reason it to myself. I don't even, use the rewards. I don't advertise it at all. So I don't, the rewards thing, it's more of like
showing that it's good and cool and you're having fun is promoting it.
Like I said, I don't advertise it. So I don't feel guilt.
But you do advertise. You get paid to advertise it, right?
Not the reward system. No, I don't mention the rewards.
No. I'm saying CS:GO roll.
Yes.
We're talking about the gambling side.
Yes.
We both know it's not going to be good for people. And then you're kind of saying, well, I don't really promote it. I don't really advertise it. But in a way, if you didn't promote or advertise it, they wouldn't pay you millions of dollars.
Yeah, I watched your Trainwrecks video and you said the same thing. You're like the less dirtier of the dirt bags. So I guess I would call myself that. And ultimately, if you watch the video, you can decide like how less dirty is he really. But yeah, that's my answer.
You know, most people are going to, unfortunately, gamble with or without certain streamers, right? Obviously, it's intended to be like a McDonald's ad. You see a McDonald's ad, you see a Big Mac, you're gonna go, you know, I'm craving a Big Mac. So it's the same concept.
You're saying like, oh, I'm just like...
It's the same concept, but they're wanting your life savings, and you're probably gonna spend it. You're not, once again, you're not spending your life savings on Big Macs. Everybody likes to compare gambling to all these other things, but people don't spend like $10 at a time, $10 a day. Why is my audio out of sync? Damn it. I'm just always having problems. Come on, how do I fix this? I need to fix it quick. Well, nope. See. Properties. I wish there was a way I could just reset it. Like, just hit the reset button. Maybe if I just bang. Froze it. It's frozen. That's what I get, I guess, for trying to mess with it. I'll just... No. Well, that's just great. That's just awesome. If it's not one thing, it's another. Am I seriously gonna have to just... Okay. Maybe if I'm still here. Dude, come on. Give me just a minute, I'll be back. I fucking hate OBS, man. Hopefully I stay live. I'm gonna have to shut down OBS. Am I back? Is it gonna be okay now? Be okay, please. I finished the CoffeeZilla video. Sorry about that. Technology is just not there yet. Everybody likes to be like, oh, the technology is so amazing. No, it's not. No, it's not. Why can't I just have a good stream? Oh, I moved my camera. There we go. Is that better?
Like kind of promoting McDonald's, whatever.
No, it's not. It's not like promoting McDonald's. Let's be honest. Gambling is a terrible addiction. My closest friend has a very, very bad gambling addiction. He'll get paid on, let's say, a Tuesday, and by Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, his whole paycheck is gone for 2 weeks, and then he has no money. And no matter what I do to intervene to help that individual try to hold his money, to help him sit there and self-exclude, he finds ways, because it's an addiction. It's just as bad as any other drug because of that dopamine rush.
Yeah, the answers were part admissions, part rational.
You gotta keep comparing it to heroin. It's like heroin and fentanyl and stuff like that. It's bad. It's bad news.
They all knew gambling was bad, but they'd stop short of actually doing something about it because they were making money from it, even when they knew people whose own lives were hurt by it. So if you know the harm firsthand, you've seen it in your own life, how do you justify peddling that drug, as you call it?
It's going to happen, in my opinion, right? And like, there is no justification. Can I say, like, I'm a drug dealer? Sure, you could, you're gonna label certain streamers are gonna be labeled as a drug dealer, in essence, and that's okay, I guess, if people are going to view it that way. I mean, I
want to know how you view it.
How I feel,
because you said it was kind of like a drug. So I want.
It is a drug. I mean, it hits the dopamine levels. Hell, I get hit in dopamine levels if I hit big. And so yeah, and then that becomes a YouTube trick. I feel bad. I do. Right? I hate to hear when people say I've lost money. I hate it, dude. I really, it crushes me, because some people legit do it because they're bored and then they lose everything they have. And it is a terrible feeling to hear that, right?
Not to question their sincerity.
Just play a better video game. There are better video games. There are better things to spend your money on. Spend $70. I guarantee you're going to get a lot more out of a game on Steam than you are out of some CSGO lottery game that's just like some web page on a website that's taking your money, and you know it.
Sincerity, but I've heard all of them say that they hate when people get addicted. They don't want to see anyone hurt, but they refuse to stop even though they know casinos are run on addicts. Fun fact, Clash.gg, who earlier we had their CEO admitting he was proud of not IDing players, also admitted that the majority of their revenue comes from a tiny fraction of their most addicted players. Quote, less than 1% of Clash accounts make up 80% of our revenue. It's just an admission.
Dude, I think OBS just tried to desync my audio again. It 100% just did. I don't know how to fix this. This is going to be a problem throughout the stream, probably. So, sorry. I'm going to have to figure out a way. You know what? I do have a way. I'm not doing that. I have a way. I have a way to fix it. And you know what that way is? I'm just going to run Zoom. I'm going to turn off my... See? It just desynced again. Yep. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I can definitely see it. This is really annoying. Really, really annoying. Have to be dealing with this on stream. Okay. What is going on here? Okay, well, Zoom's not working for some reason either. Awesome. Like, man, can I not just get something to work? I'm not gonna give up. I will make it through this. Let me try it again. Oh, okay. Well, Zoom didn't want to... Zoom didn't want to work. Didn't want to open. And try it one more time. Why are you not opening my camera, man? Come on. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. Not really. Dude, this is ridiculous. I think I'm gonna have to close OBS again. Probably what's gonna have to happen. I'll be right back again. Because stupid audio issues. Or video, it might be video issues. I'm back. I had to run OBS, basically window capture Zoom, because for some reason OBS kept slowing down my camera. Literally no other app does this. OBS does it all the time. It's recently started doing it again, and I don't know why. I don't know why it keeps doing this. I probably lost a whole bunch of viewers just because of that little issue, but I wasn't about to just shut down the stream and be a big baby about it. Just have to cut this down later when I repost all of this content. Anyway, let's get back to CoffeeZilla.
from their founder. It's an open secret. So these influencers can empathize about how horrible addiction is, but they know that's where their paycheck comes from. The CEO of Clash has a profile on Twitter that says, "Never gamble, the house always wins." But ironically, his house is probably from people gambling. The fact of the matter is that these people say with their mouth, "I feel terrible, I feel bad." But when it comes to actually changing, they never do. Even when they directly scam people, they will still find a way to rationalize it. And this next part is pretty dark. But for a moment, we're going to have to go back for a second to the PGL Major Tournament and talk about the thing I was originally offered a bounty to investigate. A specific casino that is owned by the same group as CSGO Roll, but this one is called Hype Drop. It's owned by Monarch's arch nemesis. Hype Drop was a casino where instead of gambling Counter-Strike skins, you could gamble real-world items, like real-world loot boxes. For example, you could pay for a real loot box that would get you anything from...
Bro, that is so crazy. Like, there's no way people were actually winning cars off of this. No, like, actually no way.
Like a $10 gift card to a Lamborghini, for example. It's just gambling with physical items. But the real secret sauce of this website was a loyalty program called the Daily Cases, where the more you spent, the higher level you got, the more you'd get these daily cases, which essentially were free money. Every single day, you could go on their website and open these daily cases, and theoretically, you'd get free stuff, free money, which, if that sounds unsustainable, it is. It was all part of a scheme, it turns out, to make the Danish government believe that...
You don't say. You don't say it was a scheme. What kind of scheme was it about Danish government?
Hype Drop was not actually gambling. I received a letter Hype Drop gave to the Danish regulator arguing players could not lose money on their site because over time, the daily cases paid back all the losses over roughly 3 years. This is one of those loopholes we talked about where they're going to argue they're not actually gambling because you can't lose. Now, of course, I asked Hype Drop about this, and initially they denied ever sending
That's like at a carnival, but on such a crazy, disgusting level.
This letter. Eventually, I showed them that I had their document, and they finally confessed, saying they did do it on one...
Don't worry. If you win, you get a stuffed animal every time. But the actual prize that most people win is just this little measly little plush that falls apart as soon as you wash it.
On occasion, but denied trying to pass it off as an investment. They then quickly scurry away saying, "This is our last comment." I bet it is, because they got caught making bad faith arguments to the Danish government. This type of loophole is why in their promotional material, Hype Drop said things like, "Yes, you'll always make at least your money back," and quote, "We offer return on what you invest through our daily reward system," and quote, "It's a win-win situation every time." Now, it only takes a few moments to realize that offering jackpots and money back to losers isn't gonna work. It has to be a scam, which is why many people like Monarch called this thing an unsustainable Ponzi scheme. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but he's right. On March 27th, 2024, Killian, the owner, announced that he was shutting down the site, effectively rug pulling his customers, who were all relying on these daily cases to make their losses back. This is part of what Monarch's paid goons were yelling about.
At least it was a quick, like, hey, you're not going to be able to do this anymore. You're done. Maybe they stopped. Maybe a lot of them stopped. Maybe it was a good thing for all of them to just lose their money and not be able to put more in.
At the PGL majors, by removing their daily cases, Hype Drop, in my opinion, stole from their users and effectively revealed their legal loophole to be a lie. Now, with that,
they did. Let's be honest. They did steal money from customers by doing that.
All understood. Let's circle back to this guy, Juicy, a gambling streamer who we heard from earlier. He was easily one of the biggest promoters of Hype Drop, and I wanted to know, given that he has widely promoted a scam, what was he gonna do to make things right? So let's talk about Hype Drop at this point. This has been kind of what precipitated the PGL majors, according to Monarch. He says, "I had to protest Hype Drop. It was a Ponzi scheme that collapsed, and CSGO rolls next." Now, when I was looking up Hype Drop, you were one of the people who was promoting it, like one of the bigger YouTubers I saw, maybe the biggest. What's your take on promoting this stuff where's your ethical line for what you will take, what you won't take on?
Yeah. So to my understanding, I had never worked with a gambling site that had rewards that function like a Ponzi scheme, you know? So when I was playing on it, I'm not promoting the rewards, you know? I'm not like, this is the most rewarding IRL gambling site. So I was just playing with the product itself and, you know, making content around that. So obviously it's really f***ing annoying and bullshit when the rewards get, first off, cut down, and then second off, now there is no reward offering and the site's going away. Like, I'm obviously very upset, not just for my own intent, but also mainly for the people who, especially if people put money into Hype Drop, thinking of it like a good monetary investment versus like, I'm just gambling, you know? I'm pretty sure from my understanding, that wasn't like a advertised thing. At least they weren't advertising. They weren't saying, hey, you got to tell them about this great investment option. I think that was more of a legal loophole that they were, you know, trying to operate.
He's just lying about some of this. He says he didn't advertise his daily cases, but I think he didn't think I'd watch his videos because he definitely did.
Daily reminder, claim your daily cases. They're free monies.
I think it's more like he didn't care to remember that he did them because he was just on a grind getting money.
JUICY will get you 3 free cases, so might as well. I mean, my daily cases used to pay a filthy amount of money. It was a full-time income just claiming them. Claim this every day, dude, and we're making a full-time salary every month.
Yeah, he calls the daily cases basically a full-time salary. But I thought surely after seeing that Hype Drop scammed people, he would cancel his sponsorship.
I think that casino ads, gambling ads are about to get regulated harder than cigarettes were. Hopefully we don't see any. I'd really like to see none, except for maybe when you get close to a casino. But I want to see casinos get shut down too. I think that would be great, even though they are technically good for the economy. But I don't want my economy based on evil.
With the same company, like it's the sister casino CSGO Roll, right? He has to stop that now that he's scammed his audience. He didn't cancel it, right? So let me ask you, does that mean you're no longer going to work with CSGO Roll since they're run by the same people?
Well, I've already promoted the site, and I already have fans who use the site, and I don't think the reward offering there is going to change. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate
but I think
that
you
they
can
did that.
see. I think you can see the logic of no one thought Hype Drop was going to rug people from these cases, these daily rewards. And if you are regretful, wouldn't that turn into some kind of action on your part to like change who you're working with?
Yeah, I understand that completely, but I feel like Counter-Strike sites aren't there to stay forever in the first place. I don't think anyone's expecting them to stay forever, and there really isn't many great options. So yeah, maybe it's f***ed up of me that I continue to do so, absolutely, but it really is one of the better options on the market right now.
So this guy is evil. Evil!
And there's a ton of dog shit on the market, so yeah.
And there it is.
It's all dog shit because it's all evil.
Absolutely, he doesn't want to change. Absolutely, he's not going to stop what he's doing. At the end of the day, past all the rationalizations, that's what it comes down to. It doesn't matter what you show them, what you prove to them. They're making too much money. And that is the part that I was struggling to like really get from these people is they would always say like, I do it for the love of gambling, man. I would do it if nobody paid me. Of course, they always do it getting paid. But this is the single biggest cope of gambling streamers. In fact, even Grim told me this, who we spoke to earlier about getting harassed. Luckily for me though, his tax records are public. So I knew that he was actually making a few $1 million a year and had a few million reasons to lie about why he was doing what he did. So I decided to ask him if maybe the money did play a role. Somebody reached out to me. They said, hey, I found Grim's business. He made $5 million last year. Is that true? And does that undermine what you said about it's not about the money?
Yeah, no, that is true. That's like what's one of the, I guess, the downsides with Norway is everything's public. If they know my company name, even just my name, they Google around, they find it. So like everything that I make is public, and yeah, you could say that the argument is obviously hypocritical because like I made a lot of money, but like I don't do it because I make a lot of money. I'd still.
But you still make a lot of money, and you're not gonna stop if you're not making a lot of money. I don't like this guy is just. I don't get it. I don't get it. I do get it actually. Money. I just don't get how people are just so obsessed with it. Because what does it really get you? Look at this guy's apartment. Look at that. Look at that fan. Right? He's making millions and millions a year. Why does he have this? I have stuff like this. I live in places that look like this that he's in. And it's sure you get a big mansion, right? But if you're always just in one room, then what's the point? Get a whole bunch of cars. What's the point?
I'll do it if I didn't make a lot of money. And like, even if I wasn't paid, I would still do it when I had excess money to do it because I like doing it. And it might like sound like a lie, but that's how I started it. And that's how I always wanted to.
It 100% sounds like a lie because it is a lie. The only reason you're doing it on the level that you're doing it is because you get paid to do it. If you didn't get paid to do it, then you'd probably be like in debt in a ditch, you know, sucking dick for some gambling money.
To continue.
It sounds like the $5 million might have something to do with it. It just, but that's fine. I mean,
yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I 100% understand what people would think. Like, oh no, it's only because of the money. But like, I know myself that it isn't only because of the money, but it's obviously great. Don't get me wrong.
How much did you make this year?
I'd rather not say, but I could say it's a lot.
Come on, Juicy, tell us. Tell us. Look,
so I actually don't know the exact answer myself, but I can tell you it's going to be right around Grimm's number.
How do you not know how much money you're making? He knows. He knows. He's lying. He's probably making more than Grimm. He's either making a lot more than Grimm or a lot less than Grimm. He's not making as much as Grimm. This guy, I don't believe a word that he says except, I like money.
Which I know he told you already.
Grimm's $5 million.
Yeah, and then I got to pay a stupid tax rate on that. But it's probably around there.
Both made about $5 million last year. So
I don't think it's true. I think Juicy either made more or less.
It's kind of obvious why they're not going to stop based on just a moral argument. And I began to wonder, like, how many of these influencers take these deals because they are so profitable? Well, luckily, thanks to the hard work of Jeff, who we mentioned earlier, whose documentary you should definitely go watch, I found out it's almost everyone.
This is the top 300 CSGO streamers since the beginning of this year, ranked by watch time. Of 300, 226 are currently sponsored by at least one of them. Some have up to 5. We are looking at 75%.
75%. It's insane. Counter-Strike gambling is basically funding.
And I bet the other 25% just haven't been offered a sponsorship yet.
Over half of the scene with these ridiculous paychecks. And I began to wonder, not about the people who said yes, but the people who said no. They're the minority. I wanted to know, for the people who said no, how much were they offered and why didn't they take it?
Oh, some people actually did.
I think about a lot. Because there have even been moments in time where I've been offered $300,000 for a month of gambling. $5,000 an hour. That could change my life. That could retire my mom. That could alter my family's lineage. But I keep turning.
It's dirty, evil money, though. You know it's wrong. Don't do it. You know it's wrong.
Turning it down. That was when I was an even smaller streamer.
You're gonna curse your whole family. You're gonna curse your lineage by using that money to change their lives.
No.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
One of the things I've been thinking a lot about is like how to change this, you know, what does even change look like, right? That's part of what I'm thinking about. It's like, what does even change look like for this industry? And one thing that I came to is like, the incentives have to change because they're so out of whack. The second you allow
gambling sponsorships and streamers to like get sponsorship deals, how are you going to stop someone from taking that amount of money? You're a good person, so you just don't want to do it. That's your personal line. But I think it's hard for just even somebody who's a good person to say no. You know, it's only because you know what it would do to people. But
he's not really a good person if he's pushing it on his streams, even if he's not taking money for it, he's still pushing it on his audience.
that is such a crazy amount of money. You know, this interview almost ruined me on this story. I began to wonder if change was even possible when money like this is in the field for play. Like, the casinos aren't going to regulate themselves because they lose customers and there's so much money at stake. Most influencers aren't going to say no because there's so much money at stake and they could change their life and their family's lives by taking these deals. The more I looked into it, you
don't forget that whenever anything in the government gets involved, they have the money to pay off politicians, and they do it all the time. Especially the small town politicians and the small city politicians who make like 120,000 a year, maybe 200,000, something like that. They don't make much at all, and then somebody offers them $5 million out of nowhere for a vote.
You can't expect all the people to be immune from this influence all at the same time, which is the only way to make change. It wasn't just the influencers or casinos either. Even esports, the most professional, supposedly, side of the game, was flooded with gambling. Almost every professional team had a gambling sponsor. For example, FaZe's Rollbit, the PGL Major was sponsored by 1xBet, G2 was sponsored by CSGO Roll. And this creates the same problem that it created with the influencers. If a sponsor is offering you buckets of money, it becomes really hard not to take, because if you don't take it, your competitor will. In fact, one esports owner argued the entire ecosystem in Counter-Strike, especially in the lower leagues, is basically funded by the gambling industry and gambling addicts. So I called him to understand more of how this works. Can you walk me through how gambling functions in the esports economy?
The issue is that, or the issue, I guess, at hand that you're talking about is that this activity is enabled by more controversial sponsors in gambling and skin rolling sites. If those sponsors weren't permitted, then the tier 2 and beyond scene in CS specifically would likely wither or die, or at the very least constrict to a very large degree. So that's what I meant by my tweet that you should thank your local betting crackhead in Twitch chat. If you're a fan of tier 2 CS and beyond, then the reason you're watching that team play is probably because of that better. To note, this is also true of a lot of orgs' profitability. So the value that traditional sponsors bring in for a tier 2 org, even more, you know, with G2 and Rollbit, for example, the value that a traditional sponsor brings in versus a Gamba sponsor is like 15 or 20% of the value. So you don't really turn that down as an org owner unless you've got very specific moral qualms or disagree with gambling on a personal level.
But does this inflate the economy where if you're not taking a gambling sponsorship, you're almost at a disadvantage because your economics and what you're able to play players and attract talent is much less than somebody who, for example, has a gambling deal and is making way more money than you?
Yeah,
Who cares? Get over it. Cry about it more. I'll sit at 0 forever.
I would agree that's true. I think very, very few organizations are able to do it without Gamba. Largely, if you don't have Gamba, you're almost certainly going to be unprofitable.
You heard it there. You almost can't compete at the highest level without a gambling sponsor because they pay so much more than everyone else. And if everyone else is doing it, they will have more money to spend on a team than you and get better players and therefore likely beat you. There's just no more profitable sponsor to turn to. And so a lot of people actually take the money. So even if that sponsor is a site that allows minors to play with no ID, who cares? Just slap an 18+ sticker in your ad for them and get plausible deniability. That's what G2 did when
Well, they're going to have to start doing the ID verification before you go on the websites, just like the hub did. That's probably what's going to end up having to happen. And you know what? I'm not going to be yes or no on it. I actually disagree that we should do it, that we should do the ID verification. But you know, I'm not gonna argue about it.
Announcing their CS:GO role sponsorship. A depressing fact about this video is the star of it, a guy named Monesi, turned 18 only days before they announced the sponsorship, which means in the video, it was filmed when he was 17. He was underage in their casino, supposedly 18 plus, and no one cared. A perfect metaphor for this entire industry. It's all optics. I have to tell you, by the way, the exact day I announced I was investigating Counter-Strike gambling, CS:GO Roll did announce for the first time that they were going to be asking all users to prove that they're 18 before playing. Whether or not it's coincidence, they announced it same day. I don't know. Take it for what it is. Maybe it's a token gesture. They'll roll back. Or maybe it's a sudden change of heart for the youth. I don't know. Either way, the point I'm making is that for many people and professional teams, the choice to take a gambling sponsorship is like the choice for PEDs in the Olympics or steroids in the WWE. You can say no, but if everyone else is using them and getting ahead, you choosing not to for ethical reasons will get you left behind, and your peers will—
Not true. Maybe left behind for now. But as soon as they all start crashing out, then all that's left is you. Then you win by default.
Become more successful than you. It's a depressing cycle that has me flashing back to the CS:GO Wild days several years ago and realizing we're right where we started. CS:GO Wild in 2016 was a gambling website secretly owned, slightly disputed, by FaZe Clan. And according to FaZe Banks, his motivation to do that was pretty simple.
My motivation for doing it actually was, at the time we weren't making enough money to buy a CSGO team. All in, the venture was gonna cost us like $1 million, and we definitely did not have anything close to that. So my brain, like, we gotta finesse it. We gotta figure out how to make the money to buy this team now, because in the next 6 months, year, this team's gonna be worth like $4 or $5 million, and we're not gonna be able to get into this game, which in our heads we need to get in this game.
Yeah, when you hear it, it sounds crazy. It sounds like a cope, but his plan actually worked. FaZe got away with it. FaZe Clan has a Counter-Strike team that won second place in the infamous PGL Major all these years after CS:GO Wild. It's alive and well, and still funded, by the way, by gambling, just by a different gambling website. Now it's Rollbit. It's reportedly a multi-million-dollar deal. Now look, I know seeing this is all very depressing, but we've actually learned some really valuable things. Firstly, we can't fix this.
Firstly, gambling's bad. Secondly, whatever he says.
At the individual level of influencers, esports teams, or even casinos. Doxing people, harassing them doesn't fix it or the underlying problems. It's a deep systemic problem of incentives. Of course, acknowledging that also doesn't absolve individuals. I wouldn't dare say it's okay for Juicy to do what he does, where people have been scammed and he continues to work with the same parent company. That said, if he stopped, it wouldn't change things suddenly. Someone would take his place. So if we're serious about trying to solve this problem, we have to look farther up the food chain than influencers, even than casinos, even than esports leagues. We have to zoom out and see the root cause.
Steam.
Valve definitely does have an underage gambling problem. They really don't have an incentive to stop it.
Dude, because they're the ones at the end of the day who are making so much money off of it, because people are buying the skins, basically, all of these packs. It's going to be regulated eventually. Steam makes too much money for them to not be regulated, but eventually it'll catch up to them.
Age, middle age, overage, however you want to slice it.
I think they have all the responsibility. I mean, you could pass me some of that if you want, but ultimately they're the kingpin, reaping in all of the money, or majority of the money, and there's a reason why they haven't killed it yet. They've possessed the power for all these years, but they allow it to go, and I feel like they do the bare minimum crackdown to allow it to keep operating.
This is why we got to get rid of this extra monetization in games. You should have to buy a game, buy the expansion packs, that's it. And there should be a limited number of expansion packs unless it's an ongoing service. But no little tiny little like skin stuff. We have shown, or not we, but game companies have shown that they cannot be trusted with these mechanics. So get rid of them. So I guess there's gonna be a part 3. Man, they gotta stop. This has to stop. YouTube's gotta stop with the gambling ads. I don't know if Rumble's got any gambling ads. I haven't seen any, but if they got gambling ads, they don't need any kicks. Basically, all gambling ads. I'm on there, which I'm fine with being on the platform with the gambling ads. I am one for take over the platform, be the biggest guy, and basically talk them out or force them out. All right. The completionist is back in the news. He's in huge trouble from Carl Jobst, I think is how you say his name, or Jobst. But I think the J makes it yeah.
Absolute legends. Can you believe it? It's already been more than a year since the completionist and his family's decade-long charity scam.
Man, it's only been a year. It's felt like 10 years since this guy got thrown off the internet.
Was exposed last November. For those who need a quick refresher, between the years of 2014 and 2023,
man, I used to watch this guy sometimes because I used to be a friend. I used to be a fan of Game Grumps and all of those guys, and like Pro Jared. I remember all of that drama that was going around with him. Remember that? If you don't know it, look it up. But like with Rubber Ross and Commander Holly, I know all about that stuff. I was there.
Gerard and his charity, the Open Hand Foundation, took in around $1 million of donations, money that they said was going to various charities focusing on dementia research. But over that entire time, the truth was that they hadn't donated a single penny, and had kept everything. It was only after Mudahar and myself made our videos about the situation that the Open Hand Foundation finally donated some of the money, donating $600,000 to the AFTD. The completionist public image was pretty much destroyed, and deservedly so. He had been lying for years, and after he was exposed, he took no accountability whatsoever. He made up excuses, made up lies, and more than anything was just angry at us for making the public aware of what he was doing. And it didn't take long for the completionist to return to YouTube and continue.
Really, he should have said nothing. It would have been the best thing he could have done for himself. It would have been bad. It would have been really bad. But it wouldn't have been as bad as what he did. Attacking people and telling us that we're all wrong, even if we are. That's not the way to go. And we weren't wrong in this situation.
Continue making content. After his terrible response video, he just moved on and acted as if this entire charity scandal never happened. And his family moved on and didn't care whatsoever either. They even held another golf charity event several months later. This was immediately after it was already proven that for years the golf charity money had never even made it to the Open Hand Foundation. The family was keeping everything. But then, around 4 months ago, the completionist disappeared. And there might be a good reason for this. The completionist production company, That One Video Entertainment LLC, is in huge trouble. I've never spoken about this, but for the past 2 years, the completionist company has been engaged in a frivolous lawsuit against the biggest GTA Online roleplay server, NoPixel, basically trying to extort them for half of their company, and in October, they lost. And now Gerard's company may have to pay back hundreds of thousands of dollars in attorney's fees. And the cherry on
There's more? There's more? Okay, well, let's get into it. This guy is just a complete fuck up, man. He fucked up bad.
Top of all of this is that it appears as though the Open Hand Foundation might now be under investigation by the IRS. A lot's been happening, and in today's
this sounds like he's gonna be having some jail time.
Video, we will take a quick look. I really hope you enjoy. Now legends, a huge shout out to today's sponsor, Watcher of Realms. Watcher of Realms is a really fun fantasy RPG that I've played a ton of over the past year.
This
it combines
is
classic fantasy
definitely
RPG
a
elements with
rip-off.
tower defense, which are two of my favorite genres. I love the real-time strategic element that tower defense brings. It makes the gameplay so much more interesting. The graphics are incredible, and there are over 200 unique heroes to collect and
they're
develop.
incredible,
And Watcher
alright.
of Realms is celebrating Christmas time with a brand new limited hero, Sun Wukong. He brings the Christmas cheer with a festive new skin and an awesome event featuring strategic stages, challenging minigames, and a beautiful Chinese-inspired map. 'Tis the season for exciting events where you can win 74 free summons, tons of valuable items, and the new legendary hero Callista with her exclusive artifact, along with the powerful
This is really in contrast to the last video that I did, because this is basically the same thing as gambling. Not gambling, but like, you know, it's tapping on the same part of the brain as gambling is.
Lyra in her sexy Christmas battlesuit. There are so many amazing gifts to unlock during these Christmas celebrations, and to receive them all, simply log in daily and participate in all of the festivities. Watcher of Realms has a great selection of game modes, including the campaign, arena,
You want to miss out on all the festivities?
guild boss, and intense guild v guild battles. And honestly, it's the perfect time to start playing. To download or play Watcher of Realms, just click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. It's available for free on PC, Android, and iOS.
Sun Wukong, because it's not Sun Wukong. Man, you'll never see me take a sponsorship for ads like this. It's so gross.
Before we start today's video, I want to recognize that I know that I have lost a lot of your trust at home. And I want to spend as much time as it will take to rebuild and re-earn your trust. It's going to take time, but I'm willing to put in the commitment, and I hope you give me a chance.
This is what Gerard said back in January when he returned to YouTube less than 2 months after his charity scam was exposed. I have no idea what he meant when he said that he wanted to re-earn your trust, because after this statement, he continued to pretend that nothing ever happened and he never spoke of it again.
Yeah, I'm gonna re-earn your trust by continuing to make the same videos that I've always made and pretending nothing ever happened.
For the next 8 months, Gerard would continue to post videos to his channel, hoping to resuscitate his brand. The quality, however, was now greatly diminished because most of his employees either quit or he let them go. And then in August, he released a video about alien isolation and hasn't been seen since. But while Gerard was pretending that everything was hunky-dory on the surface, behind the scenes, shit was hitting the fan. For the past year, many people, including myself, have been waiting for the Open Hand Foundation to file their 2023 IRS tax forms. Personally,
And there's gonna be nobody to help this guy because he screwed over all of his friends and he lied to everybody. I was about to say his family, but his family's involved too.
I wanted to see if anything changed after they got exposed. Were they suddenly going to start properly declaring their income now that so many eyeballs were focused on their charity? Well, what's interesting is that the Open Hand Foundation hasn't filed their 2023 IRS tax form, despite it being long past the deadline. If you search the charity through the Office of the Attorney General, it says their reporting is incomplete and the IRS form is required. This hasn't happened.
It's probably because it's all wrong. They messed up so bad, like they're just gonna have to get audited.
In any other year. The Open Hand Foundation have always filed their forms on time. So it's very peculiar that at a time where it's more important than ever to be transparent, they aren't reporting. Of course,
I think he gave up. I think he's done.
there are multiple possible reasons why they aren't submitting their forms. The most obvious would be they haven't yet done their 2023 accounting, but it could also mean they are currently being audited by the IRS. Personally, I think it's the latter, given how many people reported the charity after the scandal broke. Another piece of evidence to support the fact they are being audited is that it does appear they have already done their 2023 accounting. So there doesn't seem to be any other legitimate reason not to file. We know they've done their 2023 accounting because as part of their 2024 annual charity registration to the Office of the Attorney General, they needed to state their revenue and expenses for the previous year, which they...
And dude, he cried on stage multiple times, knowing damn well that he was keeping the money every time. Like, maybe one time you cry on stage and then shit happens, but he did it multiple times and still never donated anything. That's so crazy to me.
They did, and this is where things get very interesting. This form doesn't give us any breakdown like the IRS tax forms would, but it does give us a few basic figures. It says that in 2023, the Open Hand Foundation raised $155,000. This is significant because it's by far the most revenue the organization has ever reported in a single year. The previous highest total was back in 2021, when they raised $136,000, but that was under very different...
They were straight up using this as an emergency fund. Like, if they needed some money, they could dip into it and pay it back.
Circumstances, so let's compare. In 2021, Gerard's fundraiser Indieland received $113,000 in donations just through Tiltify alone. The charity also received a $25,000 grant from Jamie Lee Curtis's charity, Syzygy. Just these two income sources alone already amount to more than the $136,000 they reported, which means all of the bits, subs, merch sales, and all of the golf charity money simply vanished. Gerard's company or his family
simply vanished? What do you mean it simply vanished? Well, I guess on paper it vanished, but we all know what happened to that money. They kept it.
Just took
that was
rest.
revenue.
And this pattern of money vanishing continued from the years 2019 all the way through to 2022, a total of 4 years. And the money that went missing probably totaled several $100,000. But in 2023, after the public realized Gerard's family was stealing money, suddenly everything changed. In 2023, Indieland only raised $64,000 in donations through Tiltify. This is $50,000 less than in 2021. And yet magically, 2023 was the Open Hand Foundation's best year ever, raising $20,000 more than they did in 2021. It is a miracle. By the grace of God, the Khalil family has finally learned how to properly report their income. It's amazing. We already knew that Gerard and his company were stealing money before, but this most recent accounting is just the nail in the coffin. It is so brazenly obvious.
No, it's not the nail in the coffin. He already had a nail in the coffin. We're just deciding how deep the coffin's gonna be and how nice it's gonna be. Because so far it's looking like we're just gonna put him in a cardboard box and throw some dirt on him.
That once they were exposed, they decided it would be unwise to continue skimming off the top. And as a result, despite last year being one of Indieland's worst performing years ever by far, the Open Hand Foundation was more profitable than it's ever been. Another interesting thing about this form is that it shows the Open Hand Foundation is still holding on to $200,000. And this is before their 2024 golf charity event, where they would have collected even more in donations. Why are they still keeping this money? One thing I've come to realize is that while Gerard may have been very concerned with his public image, his family, specifically his brother and father, couldn't care less. This is why back in May they continued running their golf charity tournament as if nothing ever happened. If you look at the Open Hands website now, Indieland has been removed as one of the charity events, leaving only the golf tournament. And the golf event was never something that Gerard was a part of organizing. And it's why the Open Hand Foundation now feels comfortable going back to hoarding donations, because the public backlash that was originally directed at Gerard now has nowhere to go. When the Open Hand Foundation made their $600,000 donation after the story initially broke, they still had $200,000 sitting in the bank. And this is only from the reported income. As I said before, I suspect Gerard's family has siphoned hundreds of thousands of dollars out of the charity over the years. But I can't think of a single good reason why they still need to keep $200,000 in the bank, when their expenses average around $10,000 to $15,000 per year. And literally the only purpose of the charity is to be a middleman between Good Samaritans and charities that actually do dementia research. As I said before, the lack of filing to the IRS is a pretty good indication the charity is now under investigation, and I really do hope this is the case. But the IRS isn't the only thing Gerard now has to worry about, because
there's more. It gets worse, there's more. Dude, this guy is so done.
Gerard's company, That One Video Entertainment, has just lost a huge lawsuit. That One Video Entertainment LLC is the company that Gerard created in 2012 that all of his business activities fall under, including all of his YouTube channels and his charity event, Indieland. I will be calling it TOVE for short. On Gerard's LinkedIn page, he states he is the owner, president, and CEO of TOVE. And
he should have never tried to be a host for G4, man. G4 just destroyed everybody. I think now there are like 2 people from G4 that are still doing stuff, and they're doing stuff over on Twitch.
In April of 2023, Tove sued GTA Online's most well-known role-playing server, NoPixel. NoPixel is owned by Coil Content Creation Proprietary Limited.
I think I even reacted to a video about G4 when all that was coming out, and I was praising the completionist. I was praising Gerard because I was a fan of, well, I wasn't really a fan of him. I wasn't watching him at the time, but I used to watch his content, but I was a former fan of them. Now I'm like definitely a former fan of them. I am not a fan anymore.
Which was started by a fellow Aussie, Mitchell Clout, otherwise known online as Coil. If you follow The Completionist, but don't follow GTA Online role-playing, you've probably never heard of this lawsuit. And even if you have, you probably have the wrong idea about who is suing who. And that's because the reporting on this lawsuit has been abysmal and full of misinformation. It all started in May 2023, when a user posted the lawsuit to Reddit, claiming that DW was suing NoPixel. DW was a developer that worked for NoPixel for several years, but he and NoPixel's owner Coil had a falling out in December of 2022, and DW ended his relationship with the server. The day after this viral Reddit post, Dexerto signal boosted the story, with the headline, "Former GTA RP NoPixel server dev DW is suing owner Coil for considerable sum." However, this was all completely false. It wasn't DW that was suing NoPixel, it was the completionist company, Tove. It literally says who the parties are on the first page of the lawsuit. I don't understand how everyone got this wrong. Tove's lawsuit asserted that because DW developed some code for the NoPixel servers and DW was an employee of Tove, this meant that Tove owned the code that DW developed, and thus Tove should own half of NoPixel. But this entire lawsuit was a shakedown and an extortion attempt from day one. It was all bullshit. We are talking.
They tried to Nintendo him. The completionists tried to Nintendo him. And it didn't work.
Talking Billy Mitchell levels of frivolous. Everything about this lawsuit was a lie, and it's going to take a separate and quite lengthy video to cover everything in detail. But if you thought that charity was the only scam that Gerard and his company were pulling, you couldn't be more wrong. Needless to say, this lawsuit never made it to trial. In October, the judge ruled in favor of NoPixel, and now NoPixel is seeking attorney's fees of $233,000, and they are probably going to get it. Unlike most other lawsuits in America, when you sue specifically for copyright infringement, it's actually built right into the statute that you can get attorney's fees if you win. And because Tove's lawsuit was so frivolous, and the judge didn't even see a need to go to trial before ruling in NoPixel's favor, Tove is probably going to have to pay up big time. As soon as the judge makes a ruling on the motion for attorney's fees, I will do a full breakdown of this lawsuit, because it really proves that Gerard's shady behavior surrounding his charity was not an isolated event. Until then, thank you so much for watching, you legends. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video.
My dogs are freaking out because my brother just got home. Man, completionist, he is so done. He is so done. I can't believe it's still not over. It's still not over, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna see more of this. I want to see what happens. I'll be reacting to this the whole way through it. As soon as more news drops about it, I'll be there. Give me just a minute, let them get inside. F the Chuds. Intergalactic the Heretic Prophet actor attacks gamers. Thinks this will help sales. Dude, they just keep doing it. They just keep doing it. They just don't know how to stop themselves. They can't help it. I don't know why they think they have to attack fans of the video games. Like, that's gonna get them to buy your game. Yellow Flash 2, here we go.
Let's talk about Intergalactic, the Heretic
Intergalactic
Prophet one more time. Because the voice actress who plays this infamous character has decided to weigh in on the discussion that's going on. So we're going to talk about that. By the way, I don't know a lot about her. Her name is Tati Gabrielle. And she's actually kind of pretty. And it's like, why didn't you just copy what she actually looks like? This is her right here.
Because they gotta uglify everybody, and also she's black here. They tried to make her look Asian, I think, is the thing. Like, they have to uglify the women. I don't know why. I really don't. Somebody explain it to me. Because it doesn't make any sense. Why would you not want your character to look good? Why don't you want your character to be a 10 out of 10 if you're trying to make a 10 out of 10 game?
And we'll come back to her in a second. But as you can see, this game is not slowing down when it comes to ratios. 96,000 upvotes to 246,000 downvotes. Pretty bad, right? Not very good. I think there's a lot more going on here than just the character. Naughty Dog themselves have kind of brought this onto their game with their actions in the past when they tried to deplatform content creators for talking about leaks, which I'll personally never forget because that was bullshit. They tried to take down channels. They tried to take down RK Outpost, Geeks and Gamer.
Yeah, and that just made it so much worse. That was the Streisand effect times 10, actually. It was bigger than the actual Streisand effect. Lot more money involved.
Couple of other channels, Heel versus Babyface. They tried to nuke their channels with copyright strikes. And nobody in the mainstream covered it, of course, because they were all secretly hoping it would happen. But this is
Or they thought it was like, oh, it's kid stuff. Video games, who cares? Regular people don't care about that. There ain't no clicks there.
What's going on right now? We'll start here with The Gamer. Intergalactic lead response to backlash. You mad, bro? What an appropriate way.
That's great. Yeah, trolling the fans. Wonderful.
To handle things in today's day and age. You know, where everybody is like, I don't know if I want to spend money on this game, which has led to a massive layoff. There's layoffs happening all over the gaming industry. This has been
I don't think that this chick is going to be in any more games after this. I think this is the last one.
Terrible year for layoffs and firings in the video game industry. I don't think this is the best way to act anymore. I think that, in today's world, you might want to not piss off the remaining people that are willing to spend money on your shit. Just an idea. Considering these games cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make, you might want to keep everybody you can. But hey, you do you. So she's doing her best to respond. She weighed in and posted this over on her Instagram, which, by the way, she did not make this. She just posted it, which is fine. A lot of people do that. but it originated a while ago. Fragile masculinity. 100% incel tears. So DEI-licious. You mad, bro? So this is Siri, and of course, the intergalactic.
I can't wait until this game fails. Can't wait until nobody buys it out of principle. I'm not gonna buy it. I wasn't gonna buy it even if it's good though, because not my kind of game. It had some of the good aesthetics that I liked, but I'm not for that protagonist. I'm not for the characters, really. It's just no.
Dick woman. In the character form, not the actress. But she took it and posted it over on her.
And people want to compare her to Jack from Mass Effect 2. Let me tell you, she ain't no Jack.
Instagram. And it's a bold move, very bold move.
It's a dumb move. Yeah, it was pissing everybody off.
Pissing off more people instead of trying to win them over. Very good move.
You think you're punk rock?
This is just...
These people think that they're sticking it to the man, but they don't realize that they are the man. You're just sticking it to yourself.
More examples of the industry pissing off gamers. And this is something that's been going on for a while. These people that have histories of saying they want to punch gamers, they think gamers are incels or shit like that. A really good example is the lore designer.
Because they're in these like groups online and they think that they're the majority because they're in an echo chamber. Everybody that they ever interact with is like them. They never actually interact with regular people who aren't in Discord or on Blue Sky.
Which, what does that even mean? Lore designer. Is it like do you make sure the lore works? Is this someone that's like got a lore Bible? I don't really know what that term means.
It's a useless job is what it means. It doesn't mean anything.
But anyway, this guy works on the lore with the Witcher.
If Elon Musk owned this gaming company, that person would not have a job.
Games over at CD Projekt Red. And this guy, I did a video on him. There's a history of just hating on gamers. And this isn't an isolated case to just him. This is something that appears to be industry-wide. These people that attack gamers like Alyssa Marcanti, the journalist that Smash JT is involved with right now because she's suing him for some...
I haven't went over that yet, but that is a thing that's happening that is absolutely disgusting. I might make a video on that soon. Not make a video, react to a video. I act like that I'm creating these videos that I watch. I'm not. I'm just a reaction channel. For now. I got Bebop Melvin coming. And a podcast.
BS, by the way, check out his defense fund. It's garbage what's happening there. She's getting hired by places. There's rumors that she got a job somewhere. I don't know if that's true, but there is a history of these people that are just nasty to gamers getting jobs left and right. And it really just...
Yeah, and they're going to fail. They're going to fail. Because people are paying attention now. Because they want to know if their games are going to be good. They don't want any of this woke DEI bullshit in their games. And it's shown to be true. If you just look at the sales numbers and the player counts.
I feel like a lot of people in the gaming industry hate gamers.
Star Wars Outlaws, huge success. The Veilguard, Game of the Year.
Just a lot of shit. This is not an isolated thing. So, she's now coming after people, and it's like, is this really what the game needs?
She could have had hair. The hair that she had in that picture, everybody would have been fine with that. There would have been some weirdos that complained because she's black, but everybody would have been fine with that. Also, make her skin tone match her real skin tone. Don't make her have that weird Asian-looking skin tone where she's like, they're trying to make her look half black, half Asian when she doesn't really look like that. She might be half black, half Asian. Who knows nowadays with how people change their cosmetics. But they look like they're trying to make her look like that.
And this isn't, I want to be clear, Naughty Dog probably didn't say, hey, go post this. She's doing it herself, right? But it's just more fuel to the fire. Why?
More fuel for the fires, loud neighbors.
Hey, why do this? I mean, she's a very radical activist, so I'm not too surprised by it, but it's just, you don't really need to do this. And she's going to think she's doing a good thing here because all of the comments on this are, of course, like positive, like get 'em, girl, go, girl, go. It's just such a joke at this point.
A bunch of yes men just, blowing smoke up her ass, and she's eating it up. She's sniffing her own farts. She's sniffing that smoke that they blew up her ass.
And I don't know, man. From what I hear, this is Naughty Dog's last chance, really. What happens to that studio?
Oh, I hear that all the time. This is their last chance. I'm never going to buy a game from them again. Yeah, and that's always worked out. Sometimes it works out. Star Wars Outlaws, Veilguard, Concord, things like that.
This game.
Concord was a first chance and a last chance, though. And that game failed. Veilguard, people are still going to buy the next one. Especially if it's... All they had to do was make this one absolutely terrible. And the next one, they just have to dial it back a little bit and people will be happy. Or happier. I think that's why they did it. I think that's what they're banking on. Just go full hog, make everybody hate it, and then pull back. It's the South Park approach.
Fails. They closed Concord down completely. The Concord studio, Firewalk Studios, completely shut down because of that. If this game is a catastrophic flop for Sony, and I don't know if it will be or not, things can change in 2 years.
Compared to how much work they put into it and how much money they spent on it, this will be a disaster.
Because this game ain't coming out next year. I'm pretty sure it's coming out 2026, and it could get delayed to 2027 with the way things usually go with these AAA games. If this game
quadruple
fails,
A,
there's a really good chance that Naughty Dog is probably going to get shut down. And what a sad... It will be sad because Naughty Dog has made such bangers in the past. Even though most of those people don't work there anymore, think of all the great games that came out of that studio. It didn't have to be this way. It really didn't. So, we'll see what happens. Bold strategy. We'll see if it pays off here. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video, all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Peace.
What's he got
Make
here?
sure to check out my locals.
He's got locals. I got a locals coming too. Intergalactic, I think it's going to be a bomb, but I think it's still going to make a lot of money. I think it's probably going to at least break even. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it does fail. Hopefully it crashes and burns, and I'm going to laugh all the way to the bank. I can't wait. I can't wait for this game to release. I can't wait for a bunch of these disaster games to release, like Bethesda games, Avowed, whatever, man. Whatever. I'll be here to laugh at them. That's where I'm going to end today's stream. It was a little bit shorter on the video content today because I had some issues pop up early on in the stream. It'll be okay. I wish it wouldn't have happened to such a long video, though. I have PayPal down in the description if you want to donate to me. You could also leave a super thanks or a super chat on YouTube or Rumble rant if you're on Rumble. I don't know what it is on Kick or X, but I'm also on those platforms. And y'all have a good day. I will be back in a few hours to play some video games. Playing more Metro 2033. I will see you there.